Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 1st meeting of the Norwood Cultural Council. We are hoping everyone at home is staying safe and warm, and we're excited to finalize our voting and allocations for our 2021 grant cycle. We're going to start the meeting out with Amy Fingston, our grants coordinator, with just a few updates, and then we'll get into the final voting.
Hi, everybody. So I did reach out after our last meeting. I reached out to the 3 schools with the questions that we had in regards to their programming. I did send you guys all an email. Deborah, thank you for my mistake today. There were a lot of emails going back and forth today. So you guys should have gotten the email in regards to the summary of the Oldham, the Balch, and then my quick notes, my takeaways from John Quinn, the drama teacher at Norwood High. It sounds like a really great program that they're doing at the high school. I'm kind of excited. I asked him when they do have a finalized date, I thought it would be really good for all of us or some of us to attend if we can, if that's allowable in the foreseeable future, to attend the festival. It sounds very interesting. And then going forward with all of the events, I know we talked about this last month, just asking people to get the dates so that we can put it on a running calendar so that either, you know, myself or anybody from the council can go and attend any of the programming from any of the grantees. So that's where it stands right now. All right, Kate.
Great, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Amy about those emails or anything else?
So, Amy, in talking to John, it looked like that was just the regular festival that they were doing, but that's not what it said on the grant.
So, well, so what John told me was that the person that wrote the grant, and I forget his name, because he had experience writing grants, he offered to write that grant on behalf of for the Norwood Drama program. So according to John, that whatever the money is that they're, you know, the allocation that they're asking for, that goes, like in my notes that I said, it goes for all of the students, all the Norwood High students, plus anybody that comes from the other towns, like students, like to participate in the festival. But he told me that there is no funding from the school directly. They have to fundraise on their own, and that was why they were asking for that grant.
Is the program virtual or is it actually in person?
They're not sure yet. That's why I said in my notes, I don't know if you saw, they're trying, if they're trying to do it maybe May or late May, so that if they can do it in person, they would do it in a large field, have tents, have everybody spread out, if that's, you know, if we're still going with COVID protocol. I think ultimately that is their ultimate goal, but if not, then they will do it individually, virtually. They just don't, it's something's going to happen. They just don't know yet. Just like many of the other programmings, they can't give us a definitive date yet, but that's what they're striving for.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Amy, did you say that he would sort of resubmit or clarify that in writing for us?
Yes, he did tell me that. He told me he would reach out to me. He did not. So I actually reached out to him last Thursday, and then he told me that he would write like a little summary, a summation, which I never received. So that was why you guys got my notes, because I was waiting for him to send me something, and I had asked him to send it prior to today, but I had not received anything. So I can reach out to him again via email and just say, hey, John, if you don't mind, can you please just send us a quick, you know, a quick summation of what the whole programming is and, you know, why that grant was written for the Norwood High School drama, if you'd like.
Can you also, Amy, this is Denise, have him clarify how many students are actually involved from Norwood High School?
He did, yeah, so that was in my notes too, Denise. I think
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
That's okay. It was, so it fluctuates because he said it's based on the students that participate in the one act play that they do. Then it's also the kids that are hosting, the kids that are doing like props, the kids that are doing like lighting and all of that. So he said ultimately it's anywhere between, when it's all said and done, and even students that are coming to watch the whole thing, if they're able, or via virtual, whatever, it would be like around 150. I think I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think it was like 150 or something to that effect. But ultimately, I think it's like between 30 to 100 that are participating in some shape or form within the festival itself. And he said one of the main components too is actually a lot of the students how to run an actual festival, which I thought was very interesting, because that covers a lot of things. So so I think that's ultimately it was like 150 to 200 students, and then obviously it's upwards to more outside of the Norwood students itself, based on who else is participating and who else is actually coming to the event.
Right. And then do we know, like, facilities wise, are we the ones, is Norwood paying for all the tents and all that kind of stuff? Any idea?
Not, so that hasn't even come to fruition yet, Denise. That's why, I'm sorry, I don't have, like, he said it's based on, what's happening within the world and within COVID. So I can't give you a definitive answer, but I think ultimately, yes, that because it's a lot of volunteering, and it's a lot of, I think, them reaching out and trying to get grants like ours, and then, other people that would donate different things to the festival itself.
Sorry, okay, I'm muted because there's noise in my house. Okay, thanks, Amy.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so I was just gonna say, as long as what's in writing would match up to whatever reimbursement filing he would do, right? So when they come back and say, here was the program, here was pictures of the program, that it reflects what we approved, so that's just, I think we all can agree that we like the idea of funding that more than we even liked that personal coaching thing, in terms of the festival. But just so long as it sounds like he's going to get it to you. He's just probably
yeah, I'll send an email out later tonight after this meeting, and hopefully he'll respond.
Okay. And the other ones got back and clarified. And Denise, also, I added to the sheet that Carrie at the Senior Center did confirm with Denise that she had encouraged the music program to apply, that we had questions about. So the other thing that that will, I think, really drive this conversation, that I wanted to let you guys know, as I was looking into some 2020 grants that were still sort of not confirmed in terms of whether they canceled or postponed, as I was figuring that out, it puts us in a place where really we will have enough money to fulfill all of this year's applications, and possibly a little bit left over. So we have to talk about what we would do in both of those scenarios. First, let me just tell you what that number is in terms of what the last year's potentially canceled are. That total number potential is $4,719. It's very likely that's completely canceled. What I know is confirmed is about 1,200 of that. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up was Timothea's suggestion that if we have extra money, which is a potentiality, that we could put an additional percentage aside for NCC programming. So if you all have this, I can share my screen. Hold on, I'm trying to do this the hard way. I lost you guys. All right. Where's my control box? Do you guys all have that screen now? The spreadsheet available to you?
No. Are you trying to share something with us, Kate? Because we're not seeing.
Do you have access to it? Because I'm not starting. Hold on. Where's my little? I'm just asking if you guys have it open to refer to it.
I have it open, Kate. I have it.
Okay.
I printed out a copy of, the highlights.
I just can't share my screen. Like, I lost the control panel. Where did it go? This is the worst. It's always somebody, and it's me today. Oh, wait. Jeez. Okay, guys, stick with me. Okay, hold on.
On the spreadsheet, it does say the 15% for NCC, but there's no figure in it. You put a line for the 15%.
The figure put us over a little bit, so I didn't want to.
Okay.
I figured we'd want to first take care of our applicants, and then if there was extra, then we could figure out that. I'd have to ask Timothea. Let's do this one. There. Sorry, guys. Okay. Right. So this is the new number, the 4,719 of probably canceled people. And that's money that we have to spend this year, which puts, in addition to, with our, even taking out our 5% admin, that's gives us 17,359, with the requests being 16,105 after we've taken the nose out, as well as the Historical Society one that's actually postponed. So that's actually, if all of those are canceled, that's an overage of $1,254. If they're not all canceled, I would assume that it won't be even quite, it's almost like a perfect buffer for if for some reason one of these 5 or 6 accounts from last year were to say, oh no, we do want to have it this year before June 30th. So these in red are the ones that we're still waiting on. So I've been digging through our emails and old emails from Schlange and so forth to see what I could unearth. And a couple of them I've already resolved that, oh, that's definitely canceled, or, figuring out that sort of thing. So this is what is looking likely. So we just kind of need to figure out how we want to proceed in those 2 scenarios, or, what questions do you guys based on that? It kind of makes our job easy, right? Like, we have enough to basically fully grant everyone. And if we don't want to do that for some reason, how do you want to discuss who should, I guess we just need to hear what thoughts are at this point.
Well, Kate, at the end of the last meeting, we were going to start with 50% as the amount to grant, because we didn't realize we'd have all the cancellation money back. And then we were potentially thinking of a bonus amount for the organizations or programs that met one or more of our priorities. So I don't know how quick it is to morph the spreadsheet to say maybe start everybody now at 80% since we have the extra money, and still be able to give some of the grantees the little extra because they meet the priorities. Or is it, if we have money for everybody, then maybe there's no need to separate the priorities from the non-priorities. But I've always felt, and I brought this up at other meetings, that we went through the exercise and talking to the community about what they wanted, and we have a list of priorities, but if we grant everybody the same, then it's almost like the priorities didn't matter.
I agree. I do agree. I think the only thing I'm concerned about is that we have to use up all the money. So you're saying but Timothea also said you could give extra money to people who may have not asked for that much funding too. So we could do your suggestion, go back and give people 80%, or, given that it's COVID, depending upon what others are feeling, we could again this year, say this is an exceptional situation and proceed in that way. But I absolutely appreciate what you're saying. And some of these some of these some of these grants, you can tell like people were really tuned in to what we were asking, and they did a really good job on these applications. And I think we need to find a way to acknowledge that, and also like in future communications with our grantees and potential grantees, we've talked about this too, like being in further communication about what we're looking for and how to do that. And then we had some sort of left field ones again, and I think we'll always have that. But you know, the idea, I guess, is one day that we'll be in a situation where we'll have more, you know, more good grants to have to feed into than so that it's not as sort of seemingly all encompassing. I sort of, you know, what do others think about that? You know, in terms of how to use this year's allocations. Oops, I'm gonna mute you.
I was thinking along the same lines as Debbie. I had gone through the list, and I was looking at each one at 50%, and then I was looking at the ones that I thought went above and beyond, and you know, we're granting them the full amount or close to it, depending on what their request was. So I kind of think that, you know, giving everybody a flat 80%, you know, that could work, but I'm just looking at from the other direction, starting with the ones who are, I think, have really good programs, or people who haven't supported. You mentioned last month that we hadn't really given a lot to the library, and I thought, well, that's a good place to start, you know, giving full funding, and then looking at the school things. There are a couple that are really, really good, and they didn't ask for the full amount in some cases, and I think that thought that we could consider giving them more.
That makes sense to me. We should probably, if people agree, we should probably dive in though, because it's a manageable chunk, but we'll just have to be talking, you know, through these. Is everyone okay with that, to sort of assess these individually?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. I'm going to be on mute a little bit just because my kids are starting the going to bed process, so I don't want everybody to have to hear that. So let's start with do you want to do it by category, like Mary Paz kind of was alluding to? Like, do you want to approach it like, well, let's look at the libraries and seniors? I think we've done that before, like saying, well, they didn't.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Kate. So I think, Mary Paz, correct me because I'm on board with you and Deborah. I like the fact that maybe we should fund, like if you're saying there's a program that went above and beyond and that we do try to fund them the 100%, maybe not necessarily go by category. I know that's easier, Kate, but like if Mary Paz is saying that there's one that really stands out to her, and that, you know, she's saying, okay, I think we should fund this one at 100%, then maybe that's where everybody shares their opinion. I guess it might take longer. I don't know. I understand that it's easier to do things categorically, but I don't know.
That's okay.
I don't want one program to fall by the wayside, or I mean, maybe we could go back and fix it and say, hey, wait, this one, matched all of our priorities, so this one should, this one went above and beyond, and this is one of the ones we should, give the 100% to, and then go back and take a little away from another one. I'm not sure. I don't know. Is that what you were saying, Mary Paz?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's to give an example of where we would give more than they asked. The Moose Hill Sanctuary program for the families with members of or with kids with autism, they asked for 400. So the 50% would be 200, and I say let's give them the 400, but give them an extra 200. So that's one case where I thought we could give them more than they asked. In other cases, it is just basically giving them the like in the library programs, asking for 625. I think we can give them 625. So I don't know if it makes sense to go through that way and then look what we have. But does one of you have a little calculator on hand that we could just keep adding? I could turn my phone one on, but that's kind of what I was thinking.
So my plan is to use the spreadsheet. The formulas should connect directly to the total amount. So
okay,
we can do that as we go.
Perfect.
Anybody else? Given this, do you want to just start from the top then, or does somebody want to call out one that they feel strongly about? I guess we should just start from the top.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, that makes sense to me.
And just for the public, I would like to, for the record, state that, again, this has been an evolved process, and every year we do it, it has had some very, sort of significant change, whether it be with the council or the types of grants. And this year is certainly no exception with COVID, but we have, we are targeting a sort of criteria evaluation sheet to try next year, for this process as well. So that is in process. Okay, so for the library, we have the musician and dance program, right?
Oh, and for the record, I resigned my position at the library, so there wouldn't be a conflict or any questions since I'm running for Board of Trustees. So that won't also impact my ability to vote on things about the library, I think, right?
Oh, good point. So I wonder if because you're running, you should recuse yourself. I don't know the actual rules on that. Probably since we have a quorum, it's better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
At this point, since we are at the last, our second date. So we'll discuss library and
yeah, I won't vote then on that one.
Get it out. Okay. So we get,
Should I recuse myself?
We have a yes for number 1, a yes for number 2, a no for number 3, that it's a Norwood artist, and a no for new programming because she's been there before. So she has requested 700, and she has certainly a bonus, I would think, because she hits 2 of our programming criteria. So do you want to do a little more than 50%? Hello, everyone?
I think so.
Sure, just start the calculations and then we can go. Because if we keep perseverating like this, we're going to be here all night.
I know. Well,
So just throw in a number in, and then we'll I mean, we're making good points. You're looking at
is 75%. Does that seem right? Am I doing that formula right? Yes. Okay.
You could just do a hands up or, there's no kind of formula since we discussed these things last month. So not that I can do it, but just to make it go faster.
What do you mean? I thought we just agreed that we want to talk about each one.
People think, and nobody said anything. How about you say, okay, should we consider 75%, yay or nay? And
okay.
then
while I'm looking at the spreadsheet, I can't see your faces, so I would need.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So then they have to.
Something.
We have to talk. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is for the ukulele. So if I change that to, so that one is, it's a musical component. So that's a bonus of, let's see. So that would be 450. If we put that at 75, everybody okay with that? Aye, yay? Or nay?
that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
Yes.
then we've got the Salem, Chris's favorite little child thing. And if we give 75%, well, they don't have any programming bonuses for our criteria, except for that it is
Is it a new program?
new.
Is it new?
So it's new to the library. So if we put them at 75%, it would be 468.75.
Oh, Liz mentioned to me that Patty Fanning asked her if she would like to have that at the old Parish Cemetery, which sounds like another kind of interesting twist. Just what I thought.
Okay, so we'll leave that. Oh, yay or nay on 75? Everybody good?
Yay.
Okay. So you guys see the numbers moving up at the top, right? Okay. So Mass Audubon here in the others category, we have, this is the autism thing. So they would get a yes for new programming for us, I believe.
Yeah,
But,
that's new.
Okay, so otherwise it's, doesn't meet other criteria, but are we saying we're going from 50 to 75 with all of these if they hit us, one of the criteria?
I think as long as it hits one criteria, it's fine. In other words, if it has two criteria, I don't think we're giving them a double bonus.
Okay,
That's the one that I thought we should just give the 400 to. And maybe extra
right, but, I mean, that just
you
means,
wanted to go through everything and do 75?
I don't, it's not that I want to go through everything, I just, if that seems arbitrary, if we're gonna, you know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Does anyone else have any thoughts?
If we want to just go through the 75% and then go back, or just as we get to something that one of us feels strongly about, we suggest an increase and then we vote on that, or what?
I think we should throw the 75% in and then be able to go back through. Just
All
keep a
right.
note of that, like that's something that we want to revisit. So we already know one to revisit. Put the 75% in, because otherwise we're gonna, you don't want to get to the point where at the end we're really having to fudge with all the numbers because we run out of money.
Makes sense. Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so give me 1 second and I'm gonna just adjust all of them then. Just, I wonder if there's a way to there is, you can copy the formula, right? Yeah, it does.
There are some that hit all of the criteria, correct? Like our grading, like the rating system that we have.
A few of them, yeah.
Okay.
Right, so
Those are the ones. So if based on the criteria, like Deborah said, obviously I wasn't on the council prior to you guys making those priorities. But if, to me, it makes sense that if one of those programming, whatever it is, hits all four of those criteria, that one right away, automatically, that should be one that would be funded at 100%. Or am I not reading that clearly like that? Like, I know we're going 75 for all these other ones and doing that and figuring that out. But I guess right off the top, I would think that if something hits all of the criteria, given right away, that should give 100%.
well, that's
I
kind of
think
what I
it's
was
something to go back
suggesting
and
in my
revisit,
agenda.
right?
That's kind of what I was just suggesting in my agenda, but that got tricky with the math, right, Deborah, is what you were thinking?
Well, I thought that might make the math tedious, but we can plow along. We're getting there.
All right, let's see. Okay, so I think I've got us adjusted for 75% for the decision, meaning, and that puts us at 5,280 left. So that didn't actually, over a little over $1,000. Does this look right to people as they're looking at it? Okay. So we're still, we still have to go back through. So what's the next round look like for you guys? What if we did what Amy did? Do you want to go see if there's anybody yeses across the board?
Yeah, so quickly, it looks like my spreadsheet, I'm sorry, it's the Indian musician. I think it's through I think that's the RLA or the remote learning, I believe. I'm not sure, I can't see it on my spreadsheet, but that one hits 4 yeses right across the board.
Okay, should we fully fund it?
I don't know. I mean, I would like to know what everybody else thinks, but that just makes the most sense to me given on the priorities that we had talked about earlier, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's one that I had considered that it hit all the points too.
Were you going to say something, Chris?
I was just saying that sounds like it makes sense to me. If it hits all the criteria, that's a good way to, give it 100%.
I think you already said this, Kate, but just as a side note, like this is a really unusual year. We would typically not have the money to give 100% of anything. We typically would do 50% is where we would start, and that's a generous donation. That's what most of them sort of expect. So, for what it's worth, just so we have that in the back of our minds.
Right, and I think that's another reason why funding everybody would also be justifiable. But if we're going to continue this process and say that because they hit all 4, we can give them 100%, and then go back through and say, well, this person didn't hit all 4, but this is a really important thing right now because of COVID. That also makes sense. So it's tricky, but it's nuanced, right? It's just tricky for us. What was someone going to say? Sorry, I'm looking at the sheet, not you guys, so just pop in. Amy, were you going to say something? Was somebody going to say something?
No, I was gonna, but I changed my mind. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, so that then, and we could go look at others that just have like higher scores or have the top 2. Yeah, that was really the only one that was like hit all 4 of the criteria.
I think the schools did a very good job this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a couple of those programs look really good.
Yeah.
Kate, you did take out the request for the basketball nets and the yoga mats, right? You deducted that?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Thank you.
Yeah. So on the Oldham, I think I made a note there.
Yeah, because part of their programs were under the cultural umbrella, and then the athletic one was not.
Yeah, so hers, she was like a $2,000 something with that included. So I took that out to make it 1920 for what we would consider, what met our criteria. And then so now 75% of that is 1440. All right, so in terms of where to go next, I guess we just go back up and keep, we're at the 75, we have $5,000 left to grant. If you want, we can take out this 15%, and let me see what that does.
For what it's worth, I was just thinking that the category with like the most immediate need right here is the schools. Right, I feel like the way this money would benefit the most people most immediately would be in the schools, and I'm wondering if it's worth thinking about like just funding everything from the schools at 100%.
Katie, I do also agree that funding school activities 100% would be the right thing, because right now that's what they are. The kids will be in need of.
What about the seniors? Did we find out? I mean, we were talking last month about the group that wanted to go to X number of nursing homes. I mean,
Okay.
with COVID, I don't even know if that's possible right now. So,
So
did
I'm
anybody
going
find anything out about that? Did we ask nursing homes what they think right now?
What do you mean? Yeah, Denise checked in with the one that we had a question about, and she said they had invited that person.
And so actually, Kate, after
What?
looking at the panel book, because I didn't have the
Yep.
panel book in front of me when she called me back,
Uh-huh.
it's not this. She thinks that the person. This is not the same person. I can tell based on looking at. That's what I've been. I went back to the panel book while we were sitting here looking at it, and it's not the same person. And as I'm trying to Google him and see, what it looks like and I can't find any information on him. So
Okay.
I think we should probably fund it tonight, like it's a go, and then I want to talk to Carrie tomorrow again.
Okay.
The notes say that Carrie encouraged this person to apply.
No. So what happens is they get phone calls from different artists saying, we play guitar or whatever, we want to come to the senior center and play, our fee would be whatever. And they have a budget for that. And then in this case, she had a particular person call her. It was a Robert Henkel who called her and said he wanted to do a concert for the senior center. And she said they'd had him before and he was pretty good. But as I'm looking at it, the person's name is different and it's a different program. So I want to go back to her and ask, because the senior center is not putting any money into this, so that we have to fund it at 100% or it doesn't happen. But you also want to make sure it's like a good and worthwhile program.
Well, that one we were kind of questioning, and now we're saying that we don't think Carrie invited it. So I would say keep it out for tonight and use whatever and do what we feel strongly about. Hold on, I'm gonna fund the schools and at 100% and see where that puts us.
I think that also makes sense. Yeah, if that person doesn't have a history with Carrie in the senior center,
Okay.
it doesn't make sense.
But it's also unfortunate that we don't get more requests for the senior programs. And maybe it's because it's a COVID year and you can't really do a lot in person there. But we usually don't get that many.
Yeah.
Well, what's
So
really
I'd
nice
like to
is that
find
they
something
actually have
possible.
a budget for entertainment. So I think it's the kind of thing that they program for themselves. So they don't think to necessarily come back
To come
to
to
us.
us for the funds.
Right. So it's not like they don't have programming. They have unbelievable programming. It's just that they don't necessarily need our funding or look to our funding. So
Okay, so I'm gonna make it that one that we have questions about 0 right now, and then fund the other one at 100%. And we
Oh,
could
the other-
probably even give them their total expense. Do you want to give them 380? Since it's literally would be our only senior program, the hip hop thing.
I'm good with that.
Okay,
Fine with that.
all right. Yeah, just holler out at me and stop me. Okay, so we got 1,800 left with schools funded 100%, senior funded 100% for what they have, and everyone else at 75% right now.
What about the historical society? Remember we talked about whether or not they could have some tickets accessible to people who didn't normally, did not know about the houses or anything, or if they, what I mean? It's just encouraging a different segment to enjoy this.
Are you saying?
I mean, if we say,
Yeah,
okay, we're going to fund you 100%, could you set aside 5 tickets or something for, I don't know how you go about doing that, whether a school would identify a family or whether, I don't know how you would do that, frankly, if we just leave it up to the historical society to make that kind of decision.
Yeah. We could encourage them, in terms of their I remember this discussion. So in terms of how they share it, and we could help them share the information about it because we wanted a wider audience to get it.
Right, yeah.
We could offer to help do that with them as well. That was,
The other thing is, well, I don't know how that would work, but if, say, even the high school knew students who were interested in history and were, that would be a, nice bonus for them.
okay. All right, so we have a remaining 1,817.75. And the library is at 75%. And then was there any other ones that anybody had strong feelings about?
So I just want to revisit the program at the senior center because it actually looks like a decent program. And if he doesn't end up showing up to each place, we have to give the grant money in that we're allocating so much money per concert because I think he's doing 12 concerts. And if he doesn't, then he only gets so much of a reimbursement for it. But if it's, in fact, a guy coming and playing music 3 times at 4 different places, or 12 little concerts for $1,500, it's probably worthwhile. And if the senior center, like, he could call the senior center and end up saying, or they may end up saying that they don't want him, and then we don't reimburse for it, right? I mean, he set out saying that he has, 4 places that he's going to, and I think it's reasonable, like Norfolk County Adult, Day Health Care. I mean, I think it makes sense.
Okay.
And Charwell.
Yeah, and if he doesn't if he doesn't go to them and submit for them, then that money would roll over into other programming.
But
Right.
have you contacted like Charwell to see if they would even want somebody coming in? I mean,
I don't think we have to do that, actually. I don't think we have to do it, actually. Like, he went to New England Conservatory. Like, he kind of checks the boxes. The only thing that sometimes they don't necessarily have the credentials, but he looks like he does. And if he doesn't end up having a partnership with them, he doesn't get reimbursed.
Right.
I mean, it's like letting a new artist come in. That's one of our priorities.
That's true.
So, and it's for seniors, which is again one of our priorities.
Right.
So I think we should fund it. I will give Carrie a call back again tomorrow and just make sure that I have it. I apologize. When she called, I was in the middle of feeding everyone lunch, and she was convinced it was another artist, not this guy.
Okay, that's not a problem. I think I agree with you in that it sounds like a good thing. If you've looked at it online and you think it seems like a good one, and then his application is good, and then if he doesn't follow through, then the money just gets put to something else.
Right.
It's not like we're writing checks ahead of time to everybody. These are all reimbursement based. So no harm, no foul.
So is everybody good so if I put that at 100%, then where are we at?
So if he doesn't do that and he doesn't get the reimbursement, then that money rolls over into next year's?
Yes.
Gotcha.
All right. So
Okay, you have last year's rollover amount in the spreadsheet, right? I think I missed the line where that was.
Okay, so up at the top left, it's added there, the 4,719, and that's really high because of COVID.
Right.
I mean, much higher than normal, right? So, but
that figure's not what we mentioned at our last meeting, right? That changed. I had my notes from last meeting saying there was a carry forward of 977.
Correct. The 977 were confirmed cancellations, and since then there were these outstanding ones that we hadn't heard from, which some of them have since confirmed canceled, and some of them are still sort of, I'm not completely sure, but we've got a buffer if we put aside this 15%, and I think that it's just very unlikely that they're going to redo it at this point if they haven't already told us, oh, we're thinking of postponing. If we never heard from them to begin with, and at this point they're not thinking about it, it's money that we need to use. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, no, it makes perfect sense. I was just looking for that figure on a spreadsheet that I wrote from the last meeting, so I'm behind. Thank you.
No, it changed, and I didn't reference the old number. That probably would have been helpful for you guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's that same category that we've had rollover. So this leaves then to allocate, we have $317.75 left with the 1680 buffer for our own programming, or if something were to come up with one of those 2020 things that got, was a postponement or something. So 317, and that's everybody at 75 with seniors and schools at 100%. So do you want to go to the library and give it 100, 100, 100, or do you want to go to what are some other, are there
the library is usually our next priority. It's usually library, seniors, schools, library.
Right.
Who's more likely to get the rest of the funding, the historical society or the library?
What do you mean get it? You mean like to be able to
Like
get
if
it?
we don't fund them at 100%, like who's more likely to be able to fill in, the remaining money that they need? Is it the library or is it the historical society?
It's so hard to say because library's been hit so hard by COVID this year. So that, money they might have had in the past, they might not have in the budget this year. In the
Yeah.
past, I would say they have a programming budget, but I'm not sure.
I
That
know
seems-
that they spent an
Yeah.
awful lot of money coming, being preparing the facility for any kind of, just the curbside pickup, was enormous. And also for people coming in, they had to install plexiglass, they had to do, constant cleaning. So I know that their expenses went up quite a bit.
Yeah, so it seems like they need the bump.
Or could we split that 317 between the library and the NHS? Like give, 160 to each. Do you know what I'm saying?
So split it between the library and the historical society, that's totally reasonable.
Yeah,
Sure.
everybody okay with that? Arati?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let's do that. So if I go to the library, it looks like this one's. I'm not sure which one to, oh, I know, sorry. Sorry guys, bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. Right. I do this. Can you imagine the NCN if there was anybody watching us watching me do formulas on Excel right now, Google Sheets? Okay,
Do
so
something.
yeah, that's done at 54 to each one of the library grants. Okay, so then that leaves. Did I do it right? Yeah, 155 left for the Historical Society. And yeah, they have 2 grants.
They have 2 programs, right, that they submitted for?
Yeah, hold on one second.
Well, should we prioritize one over the other?
I don't know. I was just gonna divide the what's left into 2 because it's all gonna. They'll have to. I mean, it's up to either way. You prefer one of the over the other?
Not really. I just didn't know if anybody else did.
One is the winter sort of open house, and the one is geared towards kids.
Yeah, just split it 50-50 then. What do you folks think?
Yeah,
50-50 between the programs?
Do whatever
It's fine.
do whatever is easiest to calculate, Kate.
Okay. So there. How did I have that left remaining? Ugh. Hold on.
The miracle of Google Sheets.
I know, but there's some left. That shouldn't have been the way it worked. And this might be there by some change. It could be, off, but we will obviously figure this out with the, when we do the grant letters. This is 55. This is, oh, because talking and chewing gum at the same time isn't a great talent of mine. I think we're pretty well resolved here. So I'm going to shift, and you guys can watch this Google document as it's a live document. So I'll go back and figure out that last 45. I think I just didn't divide the last number right. But I did want to tell you that I've reached out to the select board and copied the manager's office and just let them know that we were hoping to up our number of council members. So I haven't heard back yet, but hopefully we'll hear back from that soon. And then I've got so far one official letter of interest that actually came just coincidentally around the same time we started talking about this. So I've passed that along, and hopefully by our next meeting we could have somebody onboarded. And I did post it a while ago, the language that I had shared with you guys on our on the government town site, but and the social media. But I want to also put it out on Celebrate Norwood and possibly the town of Norwood page. And if you guys have any, spread the word that we're looking for people, specifically, folks that are interested in doing treasurer or office holders. And I'm really excited because after this, we get this resolved, we can start sort of talking about strategic plan and doing some events. And, it seems like the light at the end of all of this is sort of showing. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys again and maybe having an outdoor meeting or doing something. And I know with that strategic plan, we started out we need to sort of cut way back and get back into that process. So, but at least we have something to use in terms of a conversation starter, in terms of what the conversation that we started having. So I guess I would say if you guys have any other addendum, that's great. Just I will open it up for that in 1 second. But if you have stuff that you want to have for the next agenda, for the next meeting, as we sort of invite new people in and look at, a new chapter, please send that to me and I'm happy to get it on an agenda. And one of the things that will come up is reassigning or voting for officers again, or just figuring that all out. So that will be on one of the to-do things. Is there anything right now that you guys want to bring to the attention of the board?
That grant that Timothea mentioned in her email, does our council want to go for some money?
Yeah, I mean, so I have right now that carved out. I held back 15% for our own local programming, which is pretty cool because in a normal year, we don't really have that buffer. So that would be a nice nest egg for us to cultivate something really customized to Norwood, maybe something collaborative between organizations, something geared towards our priorities. And I'm not sure, are we due to do another survey this year or next year? Was that 2 years? We have to do it every 3 years.
Well, what about that what is it, that $1,000 or $2,500 grant that can go to nonprofits? I think that, the one that was in her letter that was talking about that specific grant opportunity for councils.
Grant opportunity for councils.
It was in her email. And I think it was like $1,000 or as high as $2,500. And I didn't know if that was something that we could utilize for outreach to the community more. And they did have specific things they could and would not fund. So it might be something for us to look at because the deadline, I believe, is March 3rd.
Oh, that was in the second email, right? About stuff that councils could apply to?
Right, right.
Oh, okay.
Has everybody had a chance to look at that? Or has anybody had a chance to look at that? I was reading that today. And I just thought that, there's so many things we talked about trying to do that do require funding that, might be beyond our capabilities. And
Updated
of course,
grant.
you know me, I want Norwood, the town of Norwood, to find better facilities for artists, but then, hey.
Yeah. And that's another one of those conversations that we need to pick up and sort of like put some more energy behind. So I've
Yeah,
got her
Matt liked
email,
that idea.
festival grants for board members and other creative individuals, a Recover, Rebuild, Renew series. Nope, that's individual release grant.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
up
different one.
to
Yeah.
project grants. Mass Cultural Council announces the availability of FY21 projects grants for organizations that are not receiving FY21 portfolio or gateway grant.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah, 1,025 or 25 of 1 year grants to organizations for specific eligible public programming to provide access, excellence, diversity, and education in the arts humanities.
And I thought a good collaboration, as you said, with another organization or a couple of them, you know, especially the access. I don't know. Not that I'll be living in, you know, South Norwood forever because I have to move. But I always thought it would be great to get more programming down in South
No,
Norwood.
this is very cool. It says local cultural councils are eligible. It's due by March 2nd, and I don't know, you know, we're not meant to meet before then, so we couldn't
Well, we can
vote on it
email
before
about
then.
it, right?
What's that?
We can email about it. I mean, I think it's worth considering because we've had thrown around some ideas about what we'd like to do. We could
We
look back
can't
to past
email
notes.
about.
Deborah, you know, I think you're a fastidious note taker. I'm sure you have notes, right, Deborah? You could look back at what we've talked about and.
What I'm saying though, Mary Paz, is we're not, the public meeting law doesn't allow us to email about things like that.
For us applying for a grant, is we're not giving money, we're applying for money. I didn't
Yeah.
think that was the same thing. I'm not sure that it is.
Okay, so these grants have. Well, what we could decide on is that we could like vote tonight that we would be willing, we could like make a motion to vote in favor of applying if we agreed to a proposal. And then if there were couple people that wanted to do a subcommittee to make that proposal, and then the council agreed to it, then we would sort of have voted already to do that application if everyone liked the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound?
Well, I think that sounds good. What do other folks think? Nobody's talking. I'm sad.
I know everybody's quiet tonight, probably because there's a snowstorm and everybody's got a million things. Denise, Amy, any thoughts on this, applying for this grant that's due March 2nd?
I have some more time in this upcoming month because I'm taking a leave from work for a little while just to start getting ready for a move. So if anybody wants to work with me, I'd love to hear somebody else's ideas.
Does anyone want me to read the language for what is described, or would you all like to go read? Okay, Chris, I will read it. So the Mass Cultural Council announces the availability of FY21 projects grants for organizations that are not receiving an FY21 portfolio or gateway grant. I don't think we receive either of those things. I'm assuming, I guess I would need to confirm that. These grants of 1,000 or 2,500 are 1 year grants to organizations for specific eligible public programming to provide access, excellence, diversity, or education in the arts, humanities, or sciences, and are not for general operating support. These grants provide a point of entry for smaller organizations, many of whom provide unique opportunities for Massachusetts residents to participate with cultural events in their own communities. Local cultural councils are eligible. So in terms of our priorities of celebrating Norwood's cultural diversity, musical programming, new artists, and Norwood artists and new programming, I'm assuming that is what we would gear our application for.
Could we use it for like the mural project for like the 150th or something like that? Celebrating Norwood's
Diversity. I love that idea. That's a great idea. You know, something that reflects our diverse history and from Norwood in the past to today.
If we could
When
find like
is that next year, do you know?
a muralist maybe that can even partner with that group of kids that did all the painting this summer down in the center.
Right.
That might
Yeah,
be a good collaboration.
Yeah, because this could just be a piece of that. Like this amount would probably be like this sort of exploratory phase of that or something, you know, to retain someone and design something.
So it could end up being, that could be our contribution to the 150th.
Yeah.
Where's
I just
the,
think that
where
there
are
would
you
probably
thinking of
be an
the
additional
location?
cost to the execution of it. Potentially.
Where's the location of the mural?
We have no idea.
There's no, this is just something that we'd propose. It's not been set, you know? What do others think of this mural idea?
I like it. I just do think that the location is really important to secure ahead of time, because you know, if we get some money and then we don't have anybody who's willing to let us use their wall, then you know. So
It would be cool to use the viaduct wall all the way down to South Norwood.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, of course.
Just like
We'd have to work with either the town or business partners to figure that out. Yeah, there'd be a whole process. People we'd want to get involved and so we could definitely.
We could talk with Mark Ryan. I'm sure he'd be more than willing to help us.
Yeah.
He's nice to work with.
Okay, so the first step is to have this subcommittee create a proposal to the Mass Cultural Council to see if this would be in line with what this grant is for, which it sounds like it could be. So Mary Paz wants to help with that. Anybody else? I can help look it over too. That's cool. Okay, does anybody else have anything to add before we adjourn?
Okay, did you all see that Mass Cultural Council has a new executive director?
Yeah.
And there's going to be like an online meet and greet. I think it's February 26th. It was in one of the emails, so might be something interesting to do.
Thank you. Yeah, great. I just looked at his introduction video today. Did you say February 26th?
I believe so. I'll double check that and email it to you guys.
Thanks, Deborah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is finalize those numbers, and you all will be able to see that, and then work with Timothea on the annual report. Solange, I have a couple of questions outstanding with her, and I think we're good to go. The next thing for Amy would, and I can help you, is sending out these awards letters.
Okay, sounds good.
Right. Does anybody else have anything? I know I've asked you 15 times. We're all good.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kate, for all the work.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Stay safe and talk soon.
All right. Have a nice
Thank you.
night, everybody.
We'll be
Night,
Monday,
everybody.
the first Monday in March. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.